Welcome back, everybody. In this episode, we are going to be transferring our UV map into Photoshop so that we can paint that texture and then eventually bring it back in to Maya and put it onto our spaceship. So to do that, make sure your spaceship is selected, and we're going to go to Windows, UV Editor if it's not up already, and we have our UV map here. Again, I'm going to turn off the image in the background so we can actually see the UVs. And to get what we're going to make is called a UV Snapshot. So just in case, I'm going to select all of my UVs. So I right-clicked to get our marking menu and then go over to the right to select UVs, and then just drag a big marquee around everything. So everything is selected there. And then from the menu in the UV editor, I'm going to go to polygons, and then the one at the very, very bottom is UV Snapshot. And this dialog box comes up, and so we can put in a file name, and it gives us the location of where it's going to go. This is another reason why setting up your projects is so important. Because by default it goes to the images folder in the project. Now you can tell it to browse and select your own place, but it's nice to keep everything together where you can just grab your project and go. The size X and Y is the size in pixels of the image that it will create. Now this is the resolution of your texture. It can be changed later, but it's a good practice just to set it up now. So a 256 texture is not very big. For us, we can like 1024 is that's a good size. And if I press enter, that'll go ahead and set both of those as long as the keep aspect ratio is checked. The last thing we really want to change is the image format. A Photoshop can read a Maya IFF, but not much else can. So you can export this as a JPEG, as a Photoshop document, either one. Probably JPEG is a little bit better, maybe even a TIFF, just for quality's sake, but JPEG is fine for this. And everything else is good. So I'll click on OK. If I check down here at the bottom of Maya, it says it saved a file, and it tells me where that's saved, and then what it's called. So then I can switch over to Photoshop, and I can open that file. So that was on my desktop, inside of Spaceship, and then inside the Images folder. I can open that up, and it should be black with white lines on it, and it looks exactly like our UVs here. So to set this up, I need to get my background unlocked. So over here in the Layers panel, I'm going to double click on Background, and I'm going to rename this to UVs because we should be descriptive with our layer names. And then I'm going to actually invert the colors of this. So to do that, I'm going to hit Command I, and that switches all black to white, all white to black. The long way to do that, I believe, I always just hit Command I. So I don't know where it is. So Command I will reverse that. And then I'm going to create a new layer. Bring this up a little bit so you can see it. Down at the bottom of the Layers panel, the one that looks like a page with its corner turned up. If I mouse over it, it'll pop up again. We're going to create a new layer. This is where my color is going to go, so I'm going to double click on the name. I'm going to type in the name for this layer, and then I'm going to click and drag it under UVs. So we should have UVs and then color. Then the last step I need to do before coloring is I'm going to select my UV layer. Here where this says normal to the right of opacity, sorry, to the left of opacity, this is the blending mode of the layer. And if I click that, there's a whole big list that I can choose from, but the one I want to choose is multiply. And what that does is it's like an overlay. It turns this into an overlay where anything that is light is transparent on this layer, and anything that's dark is not transparent. So then if I switch to my color layer and I choose a color from my color picker over here, probably a nice green, then I get my brush tool, and when I color under this, sorry, what happens is when I color this, it will color under those lines. If this was set to normal, then I wouldn't be able to see anything. Just nothing happens. That color is still there, you can see in the little thumbnail, but I can't see it. So that's why we changed this to multiply, so that that shows through. In the next video, I will go into how to better paint this instead of just solid colors everywhere, because there's some really cool stuff we can do in Photoshop. Alright, I'll see you next time.